and at least listen to what's going on in the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Are any of the board members uncomfortable with go ahead proceeding? Anybody else out there that's participating in this uncomfortable with us going ahead and proceeding? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I feel like that we've made it as accessible as we can. I mean, if we've already notified everyone who was invited to the meeting and we put it on the website, all they have to do is type in a password, which all of us were able to do. And so there's no reason that they couldn't do the same. I feel very comfortable with it.
All right. Hearing no objections, we'll go ahead and call this January 26th, 2021 special 109 board meeting agenda to order. Just a note, as I guess we always do, this is a special meeting because we are on a virtual meeting and not a meeting in live. Well, I guess we are live. We're not in person.
Yes.
So, first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the October 17th, 2021 meeting. Has all the board members had a chance to review the minutes? And yes. Are there any questions, suggested changes to the meeting minutes?
I'll move approval. There are a couple of typos and grammatical things that probably should get fixed before we actually have them, but nothing substantive. So I would move approval.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second. This is Deetra Shipley, second.
Motion to approve by Mary Rose, a second by Deetra. All those, well, I'm forgetting my order of Robert's order here. We have a motion to approve and a second to the motion. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. How are we doing the votes here, Pete? I forget. We doing voice votes?
We can do voice.
Would you call roll, please? Or, well,
can we do it by voice vote? Or
just say your name? Yeah. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the October 27th meeting signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All of those opposed, nay, please. Hearing no opposition, the minutes of October 27th are approved. Thank you very much. First item of business is the budget report. Pete, are you doing that?
Yes, sir. If you can see on the screen, this is the current budget as of 1/26. We are running well ahead on our revenue with recycling receipts being almost 3 times what it normally is, and we're only halfway through the year. That's an indicator of how strong the recycling markets are right now. License fees were already past halfway. I wouldn't put too much stock into that, as a lot of the license fees were just paid. In the miscellaneous column, you'll see that's a new thing. That's old license fees that were just sent. That's $1.1 million. So our total revenue to date is $1.9 million. Our expenses are lagging, which is, typically a good thing. So I would say that those will start to catch up, as one of our main contractors has not submitted a invoice for a bit. That's Veolia for the household hazardous materials site. They fell behind with being able to load stuff out, which caused us to have a big backup, and they are finally getting some employees, and they're able to start pulling stuff out. So we should be getting a bill from them soon. So balance with rollover right now, $2,441,644. There is no expenses over $5,000 to report. Everybody should have seen the detailed expense report in the packet today. And if there's any questions I can answer, I can do so.
Pete, that Veolia being behind, that's reflected in that contractual services, that real low expense, 13%, correct?
That's correct.
Are there any additional questions or comments on the budget up to and including the detail sheet that Pete sent out?
Bob, can I ask a question? Do we expect that this equipment and capital outlay is that high already? I mean, is that going to come out okay at the end of the year?
Yeah, that is actually the $20,000 was a payment based upon the recycling cart grant that was previously done. So yeah, that is done, and I will have a report on that grant here later in the presentation.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the budget? Okay, Pete, thank you. We'll move on to action items.
The first action item we have is really a little bit of a report. Then it's going to follow up with the litter abatement budget. Rob was going to do this, but I told him that I would take care of it tonight. So the Clean Collaborative, everybody remember, is a Metro initiative that for collecting litter, for bringing different agencies together, for a lot of things that has to do with the cleanliness of the city. And we started that back in February of last year. And just wanted to give you the results of this. So curb miles cleaned is definitely, I mean, we went from about 850 miles to over 3,600 miles of roadway cleaned, which was a huge jump. And the number of bags collected also was a big jump, tires and other items as well. So that part is going well with the everybody remembers that we have been paying for the interstate cleanups through this litter abatement grant, and we had that scheduled to be paid for last year, but the Clean Collaborative has picked up that bill. So this is what the interstate cleanup was done through the Clean Collaborative. The Clean Collaborative also provided money for the downtown partnership to clean certain areas. So they picked up 9 tons. Suburban street sweeping, urban services district street sweeping is about the same. They completed 2,462 requests for graffiti removal. Brightside had 12,710 impressions, collected 4,948 bags, among other things, and plus the Downtown Partnership Ambassador operation, which expanded the collection area, picked up 62 tons of material. So all this said, we collected a lot of stuff this year, and we didn't even have a full year of this. So it's working. It's a good program. So with that said, it's really not that wasn't an action item, but it leads into.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
On the graffiti, was that 2,400 requests? 2,462 says work orders completed for graffiti removal?
Yeah, that's actually cleanings. Wow. Wasn't request cleanings. So they may have identified something and went out and done that.
Like signs and buildings, or I'm just curious.
Anything and everything okay. that we find out there that's got graffiti on it.
Okay.
And even with that, Carl, I just feel like that, sometimes it's a drop in the bucket, and that's a whole lot more than what we have been able to do in the past because of this program. but you still feel like you're got a finger in the dike sometimes.
And that is public property and private property?
That I wish Robert Lusk was here to answer, because I can't answer that question.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So for the CY22 litter abatement grant, we typically get about 370, 380, but this year it's $424,000. I suspect that is because many counties throughout the state did not get inmates last year, and thus they didn't spend all their money. So that, they had to give money back to the state, which increased that amount for this year. So what we want to do, and this is a little bit different than what we've done in the past, we want to allocate $305,000 to fund 6 positions. That's going to be 3 additional for the Clean Collaborative crews, and that would supplement 12 positions that's slotted by funding through the Clean Collaborative. So it would just increase the amount of people that we have out there cleaning, the number of miles that we can get cleaned. So we're able to do this because we don't have those interstate cleanings anymore, which is a good thing. And it'll just help us to do that. We also have on here $25,000 for a anti-litter message campaign. And we just want to put this here as a bare minimum of what we want to try to get done, because it's important that we get some anti-litter messaging out there. We intend to also ask for $100,000 in not this meeting, but in another meeting, for a marketing firm to be able to help us with this. So this $25,000 would be in addition to what we're going to ask for later on as $100,000 for all the waste district programs. And then we was going to increase the Brightside budget from 43 to 60, hoping that they can do the Cash for Trash program. I can tell you Brightside just lost their executive director again. So we're hoping that they will see the benefit of this Cash for Trash program like we do. And so we're hoping that they're going to bite on that, and we're trying to get an answer from them so that we can firm up the MOA between the district and Brightside. The last one is going to be about $35,000 for 100 mushroom-style litter baskets for the suburban arterials. Metro has agreed that they will service all those litter baskets using an existing curb tender. We're hoping to get a new curb tender, like a mini curb tender, that can go do that. But even if we order it now, it's going to be 18 months before we can get it. So they have decided that they would take care of that in the meantime. We're not sure where they would go. And the reason that we're talking about mushroom containers instead of the decorative iron or the wire litter baskets is because these mushroom style are heavy. They can't be, it's very difficult to steal them. They're not as expensive as the decorative wrought iron. They hold up a lot longer, and they can be emptied with the kind of truck that reaches out, grabs it, and tips it and dumps it, which means less staffing for us. So we're not sure where we will put them yet, but we know that there's a great need for those along the major arterials in the suburban areas. So that would equal up to $424,184, and we would ask that the board approve this budget for litter abatement for the calendar year 2022.
Okay, first question, Pete. This is the litter abatement. This is just for clarification. This is the litter abatement grant money from the state and is separate from our operating budget, which is a June to July budget. This is the litter abatement budget, which is a calendar year budget, correct?
That is correct, and it's separate and apart from the Clean Collaborative, although that they do work together.
Yeah. Second question, if Operation Brightside would not be interested in that cash for trash program, would we be under some kind of deadline for you all to come up with a proposal to spend, if we allocate 60 to them and they only want to do their normal 43, would we be under some kind of a deadline to try to figure out what to use that $17,000 difference for rather than lose it?
No, because we would, even though we set this budget, we can kind of move some money around within it. We can still use that money and possibly have another agency like Goodwill, because Goodwill is going out and they are hiring homeless people to do litter collection. And, maybe this is a way to help them out with their program and to get more people. So we're not real sure where we would go, but we're not going to lose the money if we can't, Brightside can't do it.
Okay. And I'll ask for other questions here in a minute. I'm hogging the floor here. So we would only theoretically lose that 17,000 if it was unspent at the end of the year. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I'll make one more comment. This education campaign, I was going to say something when you were talking earlier on one of the other slides, but it fits more appropriately in to say here. And what I was going to say is, for all of the work and good work that is being done with that Clean Collaborative, we are still doing nothing but picking up after people. So I think this education program, to try to change the mindset out there of just toss it on the street if you don't have any use for it, I think this education thing would go, is something that's needed and would go a long way towards that. I apologize for taking up so much time asking questions. Any other questions, comments from the rest of the board members?
I have a question. The full amount of 424,000 is being used. So where will we get this other 75 for the education thing that we want to change it to 100,000?
So that's going to be part of a different proposal for one of the marketing campaigns for some of the recommendations that we have. It's for residential recycling and composting education. That request for funds is actually going to come from our operating budget that we have of that 2.4 million.
Okay.
That would come later year as an amendment to the budget?
No, it won't impact this budget. We just have the 25,000 here because we want to ensure that we're going to have those funds there for at least to get the litter education.
No, I meant if we were taking that difference out of our budget as opposed to the litter budget, that would come as an amendment to our waste management district budget, correct?
I think that we would be okay with the way that they have the budget in the Metro accounting system. I think it would still fall within that contractual services. We would be able to move it. I can't really answer how they move those funds around, but I know that they give us flexibility, particularly the waste district flexibility in being able to do that. Of course, we're not moving it outside of the bucket. It's still within the same bucket, maybe just a different part of the bucket. I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at, to make sure that everybody understands it, is it would be coming out of district funds, and the addition would have to be approved by the board, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Because it's going to be it's going to be a contract, and we need to get every contract approved by you guys that is going to spend more than $5,000.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Any additional questions? So you want us tonight to approve this proposed litter abatement grant budget? That's the action that's needed, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the budget as proposed.
This is Debbie. I'll second it.
We have a motion by Carl and a second by Deborah. Any other questions or comments? Since this is spending money, I suppose we should do a roll call vote on this. Want to do that, Pete?
Yes, sir. Bob Lee.
Yes.
Let's see. Mary Hart.
Yes.
Deborah Thompson.
Yes.
Mary Rose.
Yes.
Deetra.
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
And Mr. Schindler.
Yes. All those opposed signify by saying aye. Hearing none, that budget amendment or a proposed litter abatement budget is approved. Thank you all very much. You have another item on action items?
Yes, sir. In your packets, you should have seen a MOA. This is a renewal of the current MOA with no changes at this time. It could still be something that Metro might, after they go through their approval process, might want to make an amendment. And if that's the case, we can come back to you guys about that. Unless we have any amendments, I would request that the board approve the existing MOA, or not the existing, but the current MOA, to continue that on for another 2 to 3 years. Is it? I can't remember what.
It was 3 years.
3 years.
Does anybody any board members have questions or comments on that MOA and some renewal of that?
Yes, Bob, this is Bob Lee.
Yeah.
I have a problem with approving this this MOA just in the same meeting in which we first saw it, even though it has no changes to it. I didn't get a chance to look at it. Unfortunately, had other things to do. I would prefer that we wait until our next meeting in order to have the motion to approve. I also think that I think as far as half of the board members that probably aren't familiar with the MOA and wasn't part of the board the last time that it was presented to us, and which there was substantial changes to it. I think there was a red line, and it seemed to me like it took at least 2 meetings in order to get through it. So I would think that this is an important document that people would want to not only read it, but study it and be prepared to talk about it and vote on it at the next meeting and not this meeting.
Is there any kind of a deadline on this, Pete?
Well, the agreement has expired. It expired over the break. So it's, we want to get it renewed as soon as possible. I'm not sure, but I think most everybody here was here when this was negotiated the last time, if I'm not mistaken. But it's up to you guys. Metro Budget Office can get a little bit funny if you have an expired MOA at times, but they are aware of it, and they know that we was going to be talking about it tonight, but they haven't really said, well, we're not going to pay anything. I don't think that that's going to be the issue, but it's up to you guys. If you want more time to to study it, then by all means, I do think it's an important document if you guys are uncomfortable with it.
Well, let me ask Bob a more specific question. If we reviewed this the last time and there are no changes to it, why do you think it requires more review at this time?
Mainly because there's different individuals that are going to be part of this this situation. I haven't had a chance to review it, Bob. I think that unfortunately we didn't get it till today, and I would anticipate that on a document like this, we should have at least a couple of days to get it in order to review it and to think about it. But I just I'm not ready to vote on it today.
Any other board members have feelings one way or the other?
Can we request a month's extension? If that would make you more comfortable with the larger governing bodies' possible objections?
Well, any kind of an extension would have to be agreed on by both parties. And after we leave here tonight, we're basically saying it's going to be a month.
Yeah.
I guess I always weigh in on everything, but after thinking about this,
All right.
I think that things have been going very smoothly, and I haven't had an issue with them. And if we're doing the same thing, I don't have a problem with that. But I would wonder if Peter Irwin would give us some advice, what he thinks about extending it for another month. Is Peter right?
Is Peter out there?
I'm here. I think that you could vote for an extension. It would be up to Metro whether they accept it. Can't imagine why they wouldn't accept it. It's a mutually performing agreement. I think Bob raises a valid point. It is important. And even though he may have been in agreement with it 3 years ago, he might not be in agreement with it today. And that's his prerogative. So I think that you could take a vote to seek the agreement of Metro for a month or 6 week extension until you can discuss it at the next called meeting.
Yeah, I don't have any particular problem in accommodating Bob. I just want to make sure that we don't get in a position where something doesn't get paid, or if that's not a real possibility, then I guess I don't see a problem in discussing this at the next meeting.
Well, I mean, I certainly don't know budgetary matters, and that's Pete's call. I would be surprised if another month would interfere with payment of the bills.
If I could add, I think 2 things to keep in mind is that if the board wanted to vote on this tonight and approve it, we can always open up the agreement for any kind of amendments. I don't think that there would be any opposition to that. And then number 2, if we do not want to do it tonight and Metro government says that, hey, there's an issue, we can always call a special meeting to handle that. So, we can get it done in short order if we need to.
Well, given what Peter Irwin has advised us and what Pete just said about the that we could have an emergency meeting if there is an issue with it, then I would vote that I would move that we wait until our next meeting to discuss this and approve it, or discuss it and decide if we're going to approve it.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Susan Hart seconds.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed signify by saying no. The ayes have it. Would you put that on the agenda for the next meeting?
Sir, if I could ask, if anybody in their review has some issues that might pop up, if they can let me know that, maybe I can head off that with any issues with Metro government. I can have it resolved.
Okay, thank you all. Under action items, number 3, Recycle Right program.
Okay,
This is my
Karen.
turn. Yes, I'm going to present to you guys about the Recycle Right program, and this is a request to fund this program. We've talked briefly in shorter presentations about the pilot program, and we would like to move it to full implementation with the appropriate funding. So,
Yeah, I was just going to say, Karen, could you just real quick go over it, real quick summary of what it is to just refresh any memories that might need it?
yes, absolutely. So the Recycle Right program is basically a program the goal of it is to reduce waste stream contamination. And we do this through surveying curbside containers, and we used an education-based tagging system that gives feedback to the citizens about how they, in this case, recycle. We did a pilot program in 3 different neighborhoods within Louisville. It was all within the Urban Services District. And we did find, not only did the pilot program help us to improve as we went along, because we did them one after the other, not all at the same time. And we made adjustments and learned a lot. And we also found that we could reduce contamination of non-allowed materials and improper recycling procedures through this program. And we also did follow-up surveys looking to see if the improvement lasted. And the results varied on that, but we believe that ongoing education is important. So we are ready for the next step to hopefully fully implement this program. So the basic procedure is to first figure out your survey area. In our case, for the pilot areas, we had about 100 participating households for recycling that we felt that our staff could handle. We notified the Metro Council person of the area so they knew what we were doing, and Pete, the presentation disappeared, but I can keep going. We conducted a...
Is it not there?
I know, we see everybody now. Of course, it's on the most complicated slide.
I just pulled it up on my computer, so.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so we actually, for this program, for our pilot programs, we did a pre-audit, mainly because we were trying to figure out what in the world we were going to encounter to help us develop this program. So we may not need to do pre-audits during a full implementation since we've already piloted, but we did in this case. And then we set our date for the first tagging, and knowing when we were going to be there, we wrote a letter that could be mailed out to all the residents within the area, whether they were active participating recyclers or not. Everybody got it, announcing what we were doing and when it would start. We do have to coordinate with the collection staff because we have to be ahead of them. We need to be able to look in the recycling containers before the collection truck comes through. And then you tag. We also, to collect data, we have a Survey 123 app where we took note of the type of container, how many containers they had, what contamination we found. And it's a drop down. So and on the tag, there are specific things. I'll show you the picture. So we're only looking for specific contaminants, and we would document what they had and tag their containers. When we finish, we let the collection crew know that they can come through and finish their job, and then repeat that for 2 or 3 or 4 more, well, 4 total at the most is what we did, tagging events. And then we can give conclusions and results to the neighborhood, whether it's through another letter or talking to the neighborhood association or the council person. This is an example of the letter that we sent to let them know that they might see some people poking around in their recycling containers in the morning, and they would receive a tag, and there's 3 possible tags they would get. And we went ahead and told them what contaminants we were looking for. And you can go on, let's see. Okay, so there's our tags, all 3 of them at once. So the green way to know says you're doing a great job. We didn't find any contaminants. The yellow oops tag has the pictures there, some English and Spanish. The same contaminants are on the red tags, and I'll explain the difference here in a second. So if the red tag, we did give some red tags out, not near as many as yellow, but basically this one meant we didn't want the collection crew to collect at all. It was too bad of contamination. We didn't want that to go to the recycling facility. In a lot of cases, it was basically trash. And then the yellow tag is moderate contamination. They did have some of those items that we were looking for there, but not so much that it was detrimental to the recycling process. So we went ahead and had the crews collect yellow tags. And then of course, green tags were all good. So definitely collect from those. And then the back side of all the tags gave the education as to what we really want to see inside those containers. This is a job description because the pilot programs, we used our regular full-time staff. Diane and I and Jessica Turner, one of our officers, and Whitney, our enforcement supervisor, helped do this program just to test it out. To be able to fully implement and keep this program ongoing, we would like to have part-time staff that is actually on staff seasonally, because we know there's some time of year that we would not want, it's harder to do this program since it's an outdoor program. It is expandable, although our pilot was all about recycling. We could expand this to help educate and change the waste stream of garbage, even front load dumpsters, yard waste, or any other waste stream. This is our estimated cost proposal, so it does include the personnel of 4 people, and these are going to be, well, Pete, I don't know if you want to add anything on this, but we do.
They'll be temporary employees. They can work up to 9 months per year without going into the pension system or other benefits. So the rate that we set was about $20 an hour. We want to do this enough that we can get people consistently, which I think is important when it comes to the training. We just can't drop somebody in there to do it. So you need me to continue on?
No, that's okay. So the printing of the tags and the mailing comes at a bit of a cost. We do have an initial request to get a vehicle specifically a plug-in hybrid, so that the crew has a vehicle to use. And so the first year cost is a little higher because of that vehicle requested. So we can always go back to that slide if, but I am happy to answer more questions about how the program was piloted. And the request is for funding approval so that we can fully implement the Recycle Right program.
Am I wrong in that by fully funding this, you want to take it out into the entire metro-wide community? Is that correct?
Yes, it is, of course, you know, we piloted it in the urban services district. We automatically have access to, you know, collection crew schedules and talking to them, but we could certainly perform this in a home rule city or somewhere that has a homeowners association or at the request of a waste hauler. So there's no limit to, it can be done anywhere in the county.
So when you ran the sample collection, examining the containers at the waste side at the street, you targeted 100 homes in each district?
In each of the neighborhoods we chose, we started in the Deer Park neighborhood because we knew we'd have a pretty high participation. We then also did, he's got some slides, so he's scrolling through. This is our some of our results. So the Deer Park neighborhood had already had high participation. They did have some contamination going on, but you can see in the left-hand chart, this is the percentage of red and yellow tags that we gave. In the first tagging is the highest. The last tagging was the next low, it lowered. And then even 4 months later, when we went back, we gave out less red and yellow tags. So that was great. Then on the right-hand side, this is our top contaminants that we found, which was bagged recycling, actual just plastic bags, and then styrofoam. So you can see during the first tagging, it was pretty high. You know, that was the first time they received our real specific education. And then it dropped, except for styrofoam, it did not drop for whatever reason. And then when we went back around 4 months later, it did go down on all of them. And then we went to the South Side neighborhood, and that we had help from Nicole George to figure out some of we knew that one of the challenges there would be language barrier. So we actually translated the letter into more languages and mailed that. And we found similar results, except for that follow-up. They 4 months later did not kind of hold the education as well. But you know, there's a lot of variables in some areas as well, including how transient people are, how many people, you know, come and go. The Shawnee neighborhood was a challenge. We knew that would be a challenge just because there's a lot of litter issues out in that area. But we did, as you can see, we still made progress. The 4 month later follow-up tagging, again, it didn't really stick as well, but we believe that if we continue with a full program, this would be something that we would share more throughout, you know, our communication outlets. We would share that this is happening, and it would move around the county more often. So I think there would just be a little bit more buzz about it, and hope education would hang on a little longer.
If I could add, Karen, one of the things with the marketing company that we have, we want to be able to use this marketing company to amplify the results of this by putting this out there in social media or however. So it's we went back after 4 months, but if people are seeing this on a more consistent basis, we feel like that it'll even stick better.
Mhm. I don't know if anyone has ever looked at the Clean Collaborative dashboard where it keeps results kind of in real time. We even talked about having a dashboard. So, by neighborhood and people could see how they measure up to each other. And that has definitely shown to modify behavior when you're kind of seeing, oh, well, they're doing good, so maybe I want to do good too.
I'm assuming you all have some kind of plan in place to, if the board approves this, to get this message out to all of the parties who possibly could be interested in this, because they've got to know about it first before they can request to be a part of it.
Yes, as far as a job posting, it would go through our normal city job postings, but we can definitely share it out, even through you all and all of our interested parties, and getting that word out, because although it is a very position, it would take some training. So we're hoping that it's a decent enough pay and job that someone, even if it's in addition to another job they have, or maybe they're a retired person that just wants to make a little extra money, we're hoping we can kind of hang on to some people.
Well, no, I was speaking specifically towards if we start this program up, you've obviously got to let the neighborhood associations and let the incorporated cities and anybody else who might be interested in taking advantage of this, you've got to be prepared to go out and at least let them know what's going on, so they can then hopefully see the advantage of it and take advantage of it.
Yes, yes. And, we can easily kick it off with another area of the urban services district, just to say this is going on, even if any organizations would want to see that happening to understand it better. Sure.
So this would, a possible application of this would be if a small city's been doing recycling, but they want to know how well they're doing, to then make decisions whether they do more or change the way they do it or something. They could use this as some kind of a baseline for helping them to make that decision.
Mm-hmm. I know our collection crew members can a lot of times tell us in areas that might have certain issues with contamination that they've seen. And that's probably the case for some of our private waste haulers as well. So this could definitely be a partnership that we would have the staff to help target some areas that they know need a little bit extra education.
Questions, comments, questions of Karen?
So is this like a 1-year trial to see how this works? So it's not like it's a forever thing now. It's just something we're proposing. We're going to see how the program works with these additional people, and then we either say yay or nay, we're going to continue it or not.
I think ideally we want it to continue on annually, but if as we move along, as with anything, I'm sure it would take some improvements and tweaking. But I think the long-term goal is to continue this on.
Okay, thank you. Sounds like it's a good program if people really pay attention and listen, because I know when I walk and look at people's recycle stuff, I can tell right away when stuff is not going to meet the goal or the parameters, and I just want to write them a note and put it on their trash can, but I haven't done that yet.
We can give you some stickers that you can know.
Oh, okay, I'll take them.
It is. Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to talk to you about the personnel that you have decided. Does 4 units mean 4 people, or does it mean 4 groups?
It means 4 people.
4 people. Do you think you might have under budgeted that? I mean, 4 people, how many people did you have doing the job in your sample neighborhoods?
We had 3 to 4 people out together. Although, that was just in addition to our regular jobs. So we're working full time, where this crew doesn't really need, other hours. They do the actual tagging and that's it. And, it's something that can't be done, they can't work, if that's their main job, they can't work an 8-hour day because the crew, the tagging has to be done before the collection crew comes through. So it definitely has to be done in the morning.
Right. And you said you had targeted 100 households in the neighborhoods that you worked with?
Knowing our staff and time, we did, that was kind of what we started with for the pilot. So even though, for example, in Shawnee, there was about, I think, 230 households,
Okay.
our participation was still lower, roughly less than 100 in that area. So even though we walked the whole area, we didn't have to tag over 200 containers. Now with the crew, that this is their, because we weren't out for 4 hours every day either. So, it took an hour and a half to 2 hours at the most, for one area. So we're hoping we can actually do more, in this case with the staff that's their only responsibility.
Okay. It just sounds like a big job for 4 people, truly.
Yeah, we had, if there were 4 of us, it was nice. We had basically one inspector and then one with the app putting in the information with that person. If we had 3, well, Jessica was really good at putting the information into the app. So for example, Diane and I would walk on either side of an alley and we would look in containers at the same time, and she would just follow us, and she can just look at the tag. We don't really have to tell her because she can just read it on the tag. So she would look at the tag and input the information onto the survey to collect the data.
Okay.
And I guess I don't want to speak for you, Karen, but in answer to your question, Susan, with this not being a full-time job, I think they're doing this with using what the city would refer to as temporary personnel. So you're not paying sick leave, vacation, pension, stuff like that. So that's why the cost is significantly lower than a full-time employee.
Right.
Karen, is the 33,000 for a vehicle for these people to go get around?
Yes, that's an estimated cost.
Right. And have you guys already identified the 4 people or where you're going to go get them?
No.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
I will just make a comment that I'm extremely enthusiastic about this program. I think that it's education for people, and it's not telling people thou shalt and all of that. It's just letting people who are interested already know and are keeping the recycle stream cleaner. I think it would be an asset. I mean, I'm obviously not in the business, but I would think it would be quite an asset for a garbage hauler to have this done in their area so that they can keep their waste streams, their recycle streams cleaner. It will help people to feel good about what they're doing and that they've learned something. I'm just extremely enthusiastic, and to the point that I would like to make a motion that we fund this program for the first year.
Okay, we have a motion from Mary Rose. Do we have a second?
I'm sorry. I was going to say this, Debbie Thompson, I'll second, but.
Good. We should both second that. I like the program.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions or comments? I just have a quick question to Bob. Speaking as a waste hauler, and I don't know how you guys price this stuff, but if you get a lot of contamination, let's say you have recycling customers, Bob, and you get a lot of contamination, is that going to affect your pricing in the future? If you have to take into account contamination, does that possibly affect your pricing to your customers because you get penalized at a recycling center because you have contamination levels that they don't like?
Yeah, Bob, thanks. I would say that it absolutely should, but because no one else in the market actually considers that in regards to their pricing structure, it probably doesn't. And some of us, quite frankly, at the processing center is on a flat fee processing cost basis on a per ton basis. So contamination, could hurt us in regards to the fee that we're being charged because it would add to the tonnage, to the pounds that we send to the processing center. But as far as going and transferring that to our cost analysis and pricing to the customer, I unfortunately can say that it probably doesn't do much in that regards.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Thanks, Bob.
Sure.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Since this involves money, Pete, do you want, or would you please do a roll call?
If I could, Chairman Schindler, can everybody still see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your screen on mine is, you're not doing anything. It's just a dead face there.
Yeah, I lost my computer for a minute, so I was trying to get back up. So let me go ahead and call this vote out. Let's see, Robert Lee,
Yes.
Susan Hart,
Yes.
Mary Rose Evans,
Yes.
Deborah Thompson,
Yes.
Deidre Shipley,
Yes.
Paul Braisley,
Yes.
Chairman Schindler.
Yes. Okay, that request for that funding for that program for a year passes. Thank you all very much. Pete, you want to move on to old business?
Yes, sir. Going on to the recycling cart up grant, we wanted to update you as to where we were. As you guys know, that the Metro asked for $280,000 to be able to get this program off of the ground. And it helped us get the $665,000 from the partnership and $350,000 from CERTIC. As it is right now, we have distributed 29,585 carts, and that number continues to grow. That's over 1,500 more than what we received from the grant. So Metro had to find money from its own cart funds to be able to supplement that, which they've done. So we have submitted all of our expenses to CERTIC and to the recycling partnership, and they will be reimbursing us 90% for that money. Or should say that we're going to reimburse Metro for those funds, and pending us being able to get to the final report, in which case they'll finish up with the other 10%. We don't see any issues there. We do still have $24,000 in our education, and we've been kind of waiting for us to get done with the distribution before we started our next education. And hopefully that's going to center on people utilizing the carts the way they can. So we'll be working with the recycling partnership on that very soon. As far as impact, I'll tell you, over the past year, it's been kind of crazy as to try to figure out the rhyme and reason of the flow of recycling. The COVID has really made an impact. Plus, we're rolling out a new program and switching to every other week recycling. So we actually had a little bit of a dip, but we feel like that now that we've gotten almost all of our carts out there, you can see in December was our best month by over 10%. That's the most recycling that we've ever collected curbside. Now, we hope that each month that will continue and we'll continue to increase that amount, but time will tell. COVID will obviously play a role in that, whether kids are at school or whether they're at home, and whether business is working really hard. So anyway, that's the update for the recycling tonnage or for the recycling cart grant. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions, comments, board members? Okay, thank you, Pete. Second item under old business, pop-up drop-off 2021 report.
Yes, this is back to me. I emailed this to everyone, so hopefully you had already seen this letter with the full 2021 pop-up drop-off report. But we wanted to share, with the partnership with the board, we really wanted to share and show our appreciation and excitement for this program because we believe it's been a really good positive program for the community. So just a few slides out of that report. This is the count of vehicles for all 10 events that we did last year. This is the count of vehicles with each material. So all events combined, you can see electronics actually was the most popular category participated in, followed by bulky waste and then document shredding. And that's the number of vehicles that came through. Some, of course, could have multiple items. So I know some of you came through and participated in our event. So when a vehicle comes through, we collect a zip code and what category of items each person was bringing. This is our overall zip code map. I know that the numbers are a little bit hard to read on this slide, but the color shows most participation is red with least being green, and then it's a scale. So, and then the little yellow stars are where each event was. And we repeated some locations, like Sun Valley and Metro Fleet Services were repeated 3 times. And we did capture weight of each category, or if we didn't, we took an average. For example, like tires, we actually know the number of tires we collected. So we did an average weight from the EPA to figure out about what that would weigh so that all of our material could be in the same units. So the left-hand column there is the number of participants at each event, but then the rest are the pounds of each category that was brought. And bulky waste is the only category that's landfilled. So we were able to calculate a diversion rate that came out to be 41% for the entire year, which is pretty good.
Just a quick question. I would assume that a 41% diversion rate is way over, well, there was probably not a lot of diversion achieved, but that's got to be way over what was diverted or what was able to be diverted when these people in this farmer iteration of this program, when they just showed up at the landfill. The landfill was, I think, not able to do a whole lot of diversion. So this is probably a huge diversion increase over the old program. Is that a safe assumption?
From my understanding, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
I agree. I agreed with Bob, and the program is also very popular in that it allows for residents to drop off more things, and especially like you noticed just in the number of participation we got for electronics and to participate in a free document shredding.
Mhm.
Have any more on that, Karen?
I don't think so, unless there's another slide. I don't know what happened to Pete. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Okay. Any questions of board members on the pop-up drop-off?
I will go ahead and let you know that we're in the process of planning the 9 events for 2022. We're shooting for March to November, and we've reached out to council people in all areas to try to make sure those get scheduled.
We are also going to try to hit some of the less utilized areas on the zip code map, trying to cover as much as the county as we can.
This is Carl. Is there a like a map that you guys have, or have you guys looked at the city in terms of maybe neighborhoods or areas where they are the most, I don't want to say polluted, but could use the most help? And then are we using or looking at anything targeting the most stressed areas, I guess you would say, or something along that line?
Well, I would like to say when this program was first developed, the thought was to keep the events more on the outskirts of the county, because that's where large item or bulky waste is not usually as easy, or it might not be curbside. So we were kind of focusing on the outskirts there. And what we found is that because we offered more than just bulky waste, and we offered, you know, the electronics recycling and prescription medication and all of that, we got people from everywhere coming to every event. So, so we believe it's important to have these events, even if it is a little closer into like the urban services district that has the large item pickup. We added the Shawnee Park at the end of the year, and unfortunately the weather just really didn't cooperate. So this coming schedule, we're trying to get that one to be in July. And then like Pete said, we're trying to add one. If you look at that map, you know, there's the far west that's red, but if you look just, yeah, he's kind of sharing that we're trying to put one there to capture some of those residents that we didn't get quite as much participation from. And then we'll repeat some of the other locations.
If I could also add, we always have the Waste Reduction Center, which is right around here, that is open 5 days a week for 3 items. And many of the items that we pick up, we do accept at the WRC, the Waste Reduction Center. And for the most part, anybody within that urban services district has 3 pickups per year for bulky items, which we're hoping to go to a bulk waste by appointment system soon.
Yeah, I guess it's important to remember that the pop-off drop-off main intention was to replace the free once or twice a year drop-off that we had at the landfill for all of those people living in areas of the county that don't have a scheduled opportunity to get rid of large bulky items. And I guess this is an even greater service than what's being offered at the landfill, because obviously you guys are taking through this pop-up drop-off, you're taking a lot of materials that couldn't be taken at the landfill because the landfill was strictly bring it in and bury it. and some of those materials are not allowed to go into the landfill. So it's probably giving it, well, it's definitely giving a better service than we were getting with the, plus people don't have to drive halfway across the county to get to the landfill either. These, you know, the goal was to try to keep it into the neighborhoods.
I think it's a great program. I hope that we can expand it as well. That's all.
Any other questions on pop-up drop-off? Okay, thank you all. Next item, the self-service drop-off, or the self-service
Self-service
recycling sites.
Yes, sir. We wanted to let you guys know, and this has only been possible because the Waste Management District agreed to purchase the front load truck and dumpsters in exchange for Metro running the pop-up drop-off event. So we're finally getting our dumpsters deployed. We had a long time to wait to get the truck, but we did. And some of the issues that we've had recently has been COVID and trying to get people trained. So we have to get 3 shifts of people trained because these things are emptied around the clock, 365. So we have to have the weekend shift as well, trained to be able to utilize the truck. So we have deployed these in a few places, and so far so good. As you can see, these are going to be, the best part about these is they're going to replace the 30-yard dumpsters that had to be picked up, taken to the recycling facility and dumped and then brought back. So these with the front load are going to be picked up, emptied on site and placed right back down. So there's no lapse in the time that the containers are there. And plus it's got better signage than what the 30-yard roll-offs are. And our hope is that we're going to reduce the amount of illegal dumping and contamination. When you look at these, one thing to keep in mind is the holes on the lids are not big enough. We didn't see these when they were ordered, and so we've actually cut the holes a little bit bigger. We are searching for some different container lids that could go on there to make it easier for people to dump. But so far, we haven't had any complaints from anybody, and you know, we're moving on with it. So a big thank you to the Waste District and for helping us get this program off the ground. Currently, we have them at the Cadillac Court with and at Mary T. Maher.
Just a comment. This will go a long way to alleviating the problem that I have personally experienced. I'm sure everybody does, but I occasionally will take stuff to the drop-off for various reasons. And too many times you show up at the drop-off site with those large containers, and the collection schedule was such that when I pulled the door open, there was no place to put the stuff I had in the car. And because this stuff can be dumped right there and the truck moves on to another one, it's going to be much more efficient. And I think citizens are going to not be frustrated because they show up and there's no place to put their material. And of course, we all know what happens when there's no place to put their material. It goes on the ground. Any questions or comments on that item? Okay, new business.
We've been toying around with the idea of having a waste management district retreat for the board and the committees. And of course, it'd have to be open to the public, but we have to wait till the COVID numbers continue to go down. We've already identified a location that's in Jefferson Memorial Forest. There's a community center up there that can be rented, and it's great space for it. But what we want to do, our goal here to get to know each other again in person, which would be great, better brush up on the social skills, to review the mission of the Waste Management District, which I think it's always good to go back and think about why we're here. And then to take a deep dive in the topics that are important to the board or the committee or things that we need to do. And then to narrow our focus and prioritize for the next 1 to 5 years. And that would tie into the 5-year solid waste management plan, which is, we need to start working on that. So I think what we need to do is really identify like 2 to 3 major things and do them well. And I think that this would be a good avenue for us to identify those and kind of focus us on where we need to go. Keep in mind that a retreat, even a retreat, is considered a open meeting under the Kentucky Open Meetings Act, and as such, it has to be open to the public. We would have to make sure that we have an agenda, which, because it's a special meeting, we can only discuss the topics that are on that agenda. So we're going to have to use a little bit of creative agenda writing skills to make sure that we're broad enough that we're going to have a good discussion. There won't be any action taken other than to open and to close the meeting. So this is what we want to do. We wanted to let you guys know this a long time ago, but hopefully the numbers are going to continue to go down, and we'll be able to do this in the next few months. So we're just advising you that this is a goal of ours to do, and hope that you guys can appreciate it. And if you have ideas for this, please send us an email. I know that we'll reach out to you guys beforehand to get some input on how we can set it up, but that's it. That's hopefully get on the path to normalcy.
Questions or comments? Okay, thank you. We
Yes,
look forward to
I have one
that.
question. Sorry, Bob, I have one question.
Oh, no problem.
I know that we have, each of us is on the board for so long and then we're renewed. But I'm thinking that with one of the changes to the board, like some of us will be going off, and I don't think we have a choice. Is that correct? I mean, we'll be going off this spring and others need to come in. Is that the way it's going to happen?
It is, you can serve 3 consecutive terms, and then you have to rotate off, is the way that I believe that it's written in either KRS or Metro Ordinance. Pretty sure it's in the KRS, Kentucky Revised Statutes.
Right.
I mean, it's tough to do that, but we still need to, I think, get our focus and using the experience that we have.
Okay, so you're saying that we'll all be, whether we're rolling off or not, we'll be going to the retreat if we're,
No, and I can check Karen, can you check the website to see if anybody's rolling off here this spring?
I thought Bob and I were rolling off, but I don't know.
Got Debbie and Bob Lee and Deethra. Oh, sorry. That one is out of date. I've got Debbie for sure. Term ends 2022.
I thought Bob Schindler was with me as well.
Yes. And I have Carl. I think I need to update some of this now that
Yeah,
I
it
look.
can't be Carl.
That was a short term.
No, I don't think Carl.
We'll take a look at that and make sure that the roster is up to date for everybody.
Sorry about that. I will update.
Would be a good thing to do, but I just want to make sure, I'm going to be eligible.
Understood.
Next item.
Chairman, we are actually sitting at 7:07, which I knew that this was an ambitious agenda. We get a little bit of a late start, so if you guys want to continue, we can continue, and we probably have not too much longer to go.
Is Peter Irwin still with us?
He is,
Yes, sir.
Peter, just so we don't get ourselves in any kind of trouble, this being a special meeting and we advertised it at being 5:30 to 7, are we in any kind of trouble if the board members want to extend it to cover all the items?
No, sir.
Okay. So then it's up to the board members if you want to go ahead and finish the agenda, or if you want to put some of this off till the next meeting.
Bob, this is Bob Lee. I've got another appointment I'm going to have to get off.
Okay, we obviously there's no action items or anything we have to address in the rest of this meeting. Would you want us to put it off, Bob, for your benefit to the add what we haven't covered on the next meeting?
No, not a bit. No, I
Okay.
I appreciate it, and everybody have a good evening.
Thank you. What about everybody else? You want to knock this off or come back?
I'll stay.
I'll stay.
I'll
I'll
stay.
stay.
I'll stay.
I'll say.
Okay. Thank you very much. Pete?
So to continue on, there's a document that is called the host community agreement. This agreement is one that is a binding document between the landfill and the community. And it kind of breaks down a lot of different things. And the original agreement was signed April 4, 1994, and it was a 20-year non-exclusive contractual agreement, which has expired. And we brought this up a couple times, but because we had some litigation, we have just kind of set it off to the side until we completed that. So we're hoping to kind of get it renewed. And some of the major things here is capacity assurance. The district would agree not to oppose certain things at the landfill. It set the service area, which the counties that can bring waste into the outer loop landfill, and a cap, and it said you can't bring radioactive waste in. And then it gets into more of the financial assurances and bonding and stuff, the reporting. And that is pretty much the way that the agreement goes. We have, during the negotiations through the litigation, Waste Management has agreed to meet and discuss a potential new community host agreement. And, even though their position may be that, we don't need it, I think it would be something that we would want to discuss. So what we're asking is maybe can the board task the advisory committee to create a team to begin looking at this document and starting some discussions with Waste Management of Kentucky. I will tell you that these documents are common, particularly throughout Kentucky. It's even taught from the state as far as 5-year solid waste management plans and how to do these things. They're important. They're a very important document. So if you have any questions about the document, I'd be happy to answer.
Questions or comments?
You're muted.
I will go ahead. I'm sorry. Were you going to say something, Pete?
I think Mary Rose.
I was muted. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I would like to, just to get it on the floor, make a motion that the board ask the advisory committee to look at the agreement and have a group to look at to advise us what we should do.
Yeah, I would agree with what Mary Rose is saying. I would amend it just a little bit to ask the advisory committee to start with the old one, because obviously there is some stuff in there probably doesn't need to be there, and look at it from the standpoint of the old one and what should be in a new one. We have a motion.
I can add that to my motion that
Okay.
that they begin with the old agreement and work from there.
we have a motion by Mary Rose. We have a second.
A second.
Okay, was that Deether?
Yes.
Okay. Motion by Mary Rose, second by Deethra. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Mr. Flood, if you would, please, we don't have, oh, his name just went right out of my head. We don't have Bruce Blue here with us. I noticed he checked out of the meeting. We don't have him here present to tell him we just dumped something else on.
No, you mean Burrow, not me.
Hmm?
You Bruce.
Oh,
Burrow.
I said Blue. I meant Burrow. I'm sorry. Anyway, if you would pass that on to him, please.
I sure will.
Next item.
This is appointment of the executive director. As everybody knows, Keith Hackett left several months ago, and we Metro government wanted to appoint a new executive director to for the waste management district. So they authorized me to be in that position, and I would have the same duties and responsibilities described in the ordinance, and I would also be the solid waste coordinator for Metro with the state. So I guess I got a promotion to a certain degree. So just wanted to let everybody know that, and we can change our letterhead now. Karen's been after me about changing the letterhead. So it's official.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Pete.
Yes, congratulations, Pete.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Moving right along.
Okay, so the next couple items, I'm going to let Karen take this as it's the advisory committee. Bruce is not here. Sandra's here, though. Greg is here, so they can make reports if they want to. Karen, you want to lead it off and see if you want to pass it to Sandra or Greg?
Sure. We do have, as far as the advisory committee goes, we are separated into two subcommittees. This one is showing the subcommittees that are over the residential and construction and demolition. Those are categories of recommendations in the solid waste study. And as far as residential goes, we have been looking at the expanded marketing campaign for recycling and composting. And that's one that was mentioned earlier in the meeting, where we're hoping to have a branded campaign that would not only focus on that as far as going toward the residential recycling and composting, but also a general campaign of put waste in its place, and which would encompass a lot of other things, including the litter abatement that was talked about with the grant. So more to come on that. And then there's a couple things that have been going on with construction and demolition recommendations, and I am probably the worst person to talk about it. It's drywall and gypsum. We've been having meetings with Matt Smith from Smith Creek, along with we had some folks from the Soil Conservation District and the University of Kentucky to weigh in with expertise on if it is worthwhile and how we can use gypsum in soil amendments and composting, and hopefully find an outlet for the leftover waste that is gypsum or drywall. And then there's continued work on, sorry, I wasn't sure if someone was coming in. Shingles in asphalt, and there's the Bluegrass Testing Labs is still working on some specifications and some testing that they're doing. The ICI, the other subcommittee covers the ICI, but that's industrial, commercial, institution, and then self-haul categories of those recommendations from the solid waste study. So there's a couple of self-haul recommendations we've been looking at. One had to do with a self-haul, like a facility. Bruce Borough offered to schedule a tour of the Monroe County, Indiana facility that they have. And I know you guys received the email, and I've received some responses, and we're working on finalizing that date for a tour in the next couple months. And there's been an initiative one of the recommendations is for the disposal facilities to have a drop-off for recoverable materials. And we've had discussion about the Waste District or Metro having a site that's supported by industry to help us move forward on that recommendation. So that's all been a part of those meetings. The ICI recommendation, we had some drafted language about multifamily recycling, and that's been some interesting conversation. We've had stakeholders from residents of apartment complexes, as well as people who own them and run them, and we are excited to meet and discuss concerns and see where we can go from there on getting more recycling happening with these multifamily locations. Does anybody have anything to add?
Questions or comments, or from the two committee chairmen? You all have anything to add? Subcommittee chairman.
Karen did a good job summarizing. Thank you.
Yeah, she did for our committee too.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank the advisory committees and subcommittees for their work very much. So please pass that on. Next item.
I can take this one as well. We have recently had a partnership with an organization called Terra, and they have a program called Done With It or Done With IT. And it's also a partnership with an organization called Digitunity, and our Office of Civic Innovation and Technology wanted to offer this program where we can collect usable devices that aren't going to be recycled, but actually be refurbished. So, so we met together. We actually set up an area in our electronics recycling at the Waste Reduction Center that is with signage is shown to be different. So people are aware that this is, if you're donating to this Done With IT program, then you are donating items that are still usable. They're like laptops or tablets that are usable and not damaged, and they can then be refurbished. Anything else would continue through our normal cyber cycle program that we've always had. And this is because of you know, so many people upgrade equipment and retire old equipment that still has high quality. And by being able to partner with these organizations, those items can then be given to those in need that wouldn't normally be able to get new equipment. So it helps close the digital divide. And so it's a great program. Unfortunately, the whole thing kind of came together a little bit later than expected. And we just had with the Kentucky tornadoes and stuff, we just weren't able to get any press release out about it. So we do have that still planned to go out as a press release. So be watching for that. Our website is updated and the location for drop-off is updated, but the word hasn't really gone out as much as we would have liked.
Questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Karen. Next item.
Yeah, the last item on the agenda is just to announce that it is reporting time if any of the licensed facilities are out there, it's time to get your information in through ReTrack, which is a Waste Management District funded reporting system. These individuals should be receiving an email to remind them that Monday is the last day for reporting. We ask them to ask that they be accurate and prompt in getting their information in, and this information is required by Metro Ordinance and Kentucky Revised Statutes. So this is all comes into the annual report, which you guys should be seeing before the next meeting.
Any questions or comments? What kind of return are you getting on the reports, Pete? Are you all having to beat the bushes to get anybody to turn in their information?
Typically, we get about 90% that pretty much report. It's really easy. We've made it as easy as we can, but we'll get 10% that is the usual suspects each year. And if they don't get it in by a certain time, we'll issue a notice of violation to them. And if they continue not to do that, then they get a citation, which is a fine as required by the ordinance. And if they still continue not to report, then we will not renew their license to operate.
Okay, thank you. Announcements.
The next board meeting is February 23rd at 5:30. Residential C&D subcommittee is February 8th at 2. The Self-Haul and ICI committee is February 16th, same as the advisory committee.
Okay, are there any members of the audience that have questions or comments or announcements? Okay, hearing none, we're going to adjourn at 7:25. Thanks everybody for your participation, and also thank you very much for your forbearance as we went 20 some odd minutes over. So thanks everybody, and I guess we'll see you next month.
See you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, I'm trying to leave.
Won't let you go.
All right. All right, Bob. Well, considering we got a 15-minute late start, and
Yeah.
still get done by 6, not too bad for that.
Yeah, we did pretty good there.
Yep. All right. I think it went all okay. I was hoping to get that MOA done, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you much, and I'll be talking at you.
All right. Take care.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.